Hello, my beautiful souls. Welcome back to the Hello Goddess podcast, where sacred meets savage. Today, we're going to be talking about ayahuasca, or Aya for short, what it is, where you can do it safely, and why if you're curious about it. But what you need to hear is this, is that Aya is not a trend. I know it's becoming a lot more mainstream now and people are openly talking about it. But it's not a trend. It's not something that you should take lightly. And it's not something cute that you do for Instagram. It is deep, dark, and it is messy and so enlightened work that you'd be doing. And I want to be really clear before I dive into my story that Aya has been one of my greatest teachers, but it's my way of healing. Yours might look completely different, and that's valid. Some people will never touch this medicine, and that doesn't make their healing any less powerful. But I just want to make that clear because I love ayahuasca. I'm a big believer that, everybody should do it, but I also respect that it's not for everybody. It has just really transformed me and my life, and I just want to share and tell you the story of my beautiful journey with the plant itself. So, what is Aya? I did talk about it in a previous episode where I discussed what is healing, or the different types of healing. And so just to have a little bit of that recap, for those who don't know, Aya is plant medicine that is brewed from the Amazon. It is made from a vine and a leaf. The vine lets your body absorb the DMT in the leaf, and that is what creates the long visionary journeys. It's been used for centuries in ceremony, for healing, for connecting to spirit, for releasing what we don't even know that we're carrying. But let's keep it extremely real and truthful. Ayahuasca is not a party drug. It's not for fun. It's not glamorous. It's raw. It's purging. It's facing yourself with no escape button. You just have to breathe through it and let the medicine work through you. So, when I first came across ayahuasca, I was in Ecuador, and it was in 2018. It was my first time backpacking by myself. I decided to save all my money, and I took off to Ecuador, and I was in the jungle in the Amazon, just, traveling. I met a group of girls, and we're like, hey, let's do ayahuasca. And at this time, I had no idea what it was. I'm like, yeah, sure. I'm like, let's try it. I don't know what it is, but why not? And as we were getting ready to do it, we paid the men and everything. One of the girls got a little bit nervous and we decided not to do it. And it was probably the best thing we probably could have done, because when I look at it now in hindsight, I was like, we were willingly going to go into the jungle with a group of men where we don't have reception. We don't have, I'm like, what are we thinking? And we're 3 foreign girls. So, that survival instinct kind of kicked in. And of course, I didn't speak the language. So I would not have known what they were saying or anything like that. So we didn't end up going. And when I look back, Goddesses is probably what maybe saved me. But yeah, that was the first time that I found out what ayahuasca was. And then fast forward, that was 2018, and I was in Sweden, and I was getting ready to leave, and I went backpacking for 10 months. This was, oh my God, what year? This was in 2023 when I left Sweden and I went backpacking. And I was I had all these opportunities to do ayahuasca and mushroom ceremonies, but I just didn't feel ready to. I was going through my breakup and trying to figure out who I wanted to be. So instead of leaning towards the spiritual side and plant medicine, I was leaning more towards the party side of things, staying up until, all night, doing God knows what into whatever time with who knows what. And I was just having the time of my life, and I was getting the breakup out of me. I was releasing it by abusing my body basically, and by, drinking, because that's what I've always done in the past to get over things. And once I reached the end of my journey after 10 months of backpacking and I came back home last year, that's when I started to do the internal work. And then that's when I was like, you know what? I'm ready now to sit in ceremony when I came back last year in March. And at this point, right, I'm just like, well, now where am I going to find it? Like, I had every opportunity when I was traveling in Mexico, Guatemala, Peru. You meet people, you can find it. And now I'm like, great, I'm in California and I have to make friends again. I don't want to be here. And yeah, and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. But then I found ayahuasca. I found a community through a friend of mine who also sat with it and introduced me into this community. And then since then, it's been a game changer. So when I first sat with ayahuasca last year in November in 2024, it was the most amazing experience that I can say, or like I want to share, because I was super excited. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing this. I'm going to do ayahuasca finally. I was just so happy to be there. But the first all 3 nights, basically, I had stomach problems. So I was purging, I was throwing up, had diarrhea. And sometimes it was happening at the same time. I was on that toilet and I had a bucket in my hand. And it's just your body way of like releasing toxins. The first day in November, I remember seeing, like all the animals that I've ever eaten, like the cows, and I could feel their bones, and I can see all the pesticides and all like just the bad things that are in our food. And it was literally being released from my body, like all the toxins. I also saw a lot of the abuse that happened to me and understand the part that I played in it and the part that, the other people played in that abuse. And then I also saw my future and my life. So this was the very first time I did ayahuasca. And each day, like, I was really nervous because after the first day when I was purging and having diarrhea, my stomach was really, really upset, like really upset. And so then the next 2 days I was really scared. And I remember like knowing that I only wanted to take a small of the medicine because you have an opportunity to take a small, medium, or a large. And I was like, I'm just going to do, I'm going to do a small. That's what I wanted. But my mind was like, no, you know how much you paid for this, Danielle? You're going to do a large, or you can do a medium, or you're going to start off with a small and then you're going to go up and you're going to get more, because we didn't come here to mess around. We came here to get shit done and to uncover everything. Instead of listening to my voice, instead of listening to my intuition, my mind was like, no, we paid a lot of money to be here. You're gonna fucking take the large. And that's something, right, that I have to work on, because listening to your body, listening to yourself is one of the important lessons for me, because your mind has a mind of its own, with that monkey mind controls us so much. And that's something that is really disconnected for me. And I need to learn I have learned since then to listen to myself a lot more. Other things that came out of that first ceremony was that I really struggled asking for help. Like, I don't like asking for help. Like, I don't want people to help me. I want to do it myself. And if I ask for help, then I'm weak. And I really struggled with that, especially on the first day of that ceremony, because I needed help to get to the bathroom, but I couldn't ask for it. Like, I was saying it in my mind, but my mouth wasn't moving. And once I started asking for help after that, then everything else in my life became a lot easier, right? Because then I'm not afraid to ask anymore. Say, hey, like, do you mind like helping me for 20 minutes to do something, etc. And yeah, so that was another lesson. I did post about it on my own Instagram, like all the little things that I did or experienced into more detail. But the most recent ayahuasca journey that I sat in was in September with a group of women. I knew that I needed to heal with women. I've known this for a long time, because here's the thing, is like, as I can say I'm confident, I'm this, I'm that, but in reality, I'm not as insecure as I used to be, because I'm very comfortable with who I am. But my insecurities do get highlighted around other women. I make myself small, especially around white women. Because growing up as Mexican American, I was never white enough for the whites, never Mexican enough for the Mexicans, because I don't speak Spanish. And I saw the white people around me get everything that they wanted. I saw how they treated my mom. I saw how they treated the people around me who were Mexican. And, we grew up in this culture where, white skin and blue eyes and blonde hair equals beautiful. And it was something that always stuck with me. Like I used to stay out of the sun so I wouldn't get dark because I was so afraid of my own culture. And funny enough, right? I sat with a group of white women and I knew that was going to happen. Like I knew I had to heal with white women. And I also know that I have to heal with Mexican women. And that's probably another circle I will sit in where it's just all like Hispanics, because that's also a wound that I have to sit with and understand and learn how to take up space and be comfortable in my own body around these different types of women. And the first day when I sat in ceremony, I was so afraid of like, I was afraid that I was ruining their journeys because I was so loud, because I was vomiting and shitting again. And I just couldn't control it. But I was trying to control it because I didn't want to embarrass myself. I was afraid of ruining their journey. And I was so in my head. And this doesn't just translate to the ceremony, right? This translates to everyday life where I overthink and overanalyze everything. And I'm always thinking that people don't like me. I'm thinking that I have, and I'm judging myself mainly. So I'm judging myself for not being as good and not as good as they are. And it's just like this constant battle with my mind. But I'm aware of my triggers. Like I'm fully aware of it. And sometimes I'm like, you know what? All right, mind. Like I see you. You don't feel enough. I know that little girl inside of you is hurting. I recognize that this is an inner child wound. Thank you for so much. I feel it in my chest. We're just going to let this feeling come up and we're going to move on. So, but I still haven't like fully moved on from it, right? Because it's still there. So after sitting in ceremony, I was able to kind of now be comfortable with who I am, and not dim my light in front of people, in front of women specifically. The second day was amazing. I got a lot of downloads for my life and what is to happen with Hello Goddess. And I'm just so excited, and I can't wait to bring all these visions to life. I can't wait to bring everybody on this journey with me, and I can't wait for all of us to rise into the beautiful goddesses that we are. Yeah, like when I compare to my first journey to my second journey, I was able to see my future and I saw myself married and having kids. And then, but this time it was so specific. I knew exactly what I was going to do. I saw exactly the people I was going to meet. I saw how much money I was going to make. I saw who I was going to marry. I saw myself having a family. And it was very crystal clear, everything at one time. And I was just so excited. I want to come back home and like do it all. And I'm just like, oh my God. But I know that's the little kid in me that's like, oh, let's just do everything right now. Let's just go, 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 go. But the reality is patience, right? Everything is divine timing. It's not forcing it, not controlling it. And that brings me to the third day, where I needed to purge the vomit and I needed to throw up. And I could not for the life of me throw up. I literally had my fingers down my throat, all the way down, and nothing was coming out. I feel like I'm waiting for like this big transformation to happen, where it's like, you know, from a caterpillar to a butterfly. And I feel like every time I sit in either an ayahuasca journey or ceremony or mushroom ceremony, that shell of mine slowly starts to crack open and letting a little bit of light into it. But I still feel like I have this darkness holding on to me. Like I had really bad sleep paralysis as a kid, and sometimes I still have it. And I can feel that darkness because I can see, I can see the shadow, and I feel that darkness still not ready to let go. Because, right, like if we think about it, it's easy to stay comfortable. It's easy to stay with what we already know. It's easier to hold on to the trauma. It's easier to hold on to the guilt, to the shame. But what happens if you let it all go? Who do you become then? And that's the part of me that's afraid, My inner child is afraid that I'm going to leave her, that I'm going to forget about her. I'm not going to bring her on this journey because, to be honest, I left her when I left the US. Or not even when I left the US, when I moved out of home when I was 18, I went to college. I suppressed my memories for years. I didn't raise her. I've spent the last year raising her with me, doing everything with, like, whenever I dress like super fun and have my hair in pigtails and wear bright colors, that's my little girl wanting to come out and be seen and be heard. And that's what I keep saying, coming back to, like, why Hello Goddess means so much to me, because it is my love letter to myself. It's my love letter to everybody out there who is afraid to be seen, afraid to be heard, afraid to step into your power, who thinks that you're not worthy when you are worthy. When you're worthy of so much more. But first you need to sit with yourself. You need to understand your triggers. You need to understand your loops, and you need to own it, and you need to accept it. And you need to also forgive yourself. And that's something that I'm still working on, is forgiving all the past versions of who I've been. I have a lot of shame and a lot of guilt that I'll talk later on in the podcast. And I just feel disgusted with myself at times. And like, even just saying this, I feel like I need to purge. And I've been waiting for this big release to happen for like a year now. I've felt it in my bones. Like, I just need to scream and let it all out. And it's just going to be like vomit and diarrhea happening at the same time. I'm sorry if this is too much, guys, but like, this is just what I feel like. I've always felt like everything's so tight in me, and slowly it's becoming less easy. The grip is becoming lessened, and I'm able to breathe and step into my authenticity. So that's the beautiful thing with ayahuasca, is that it doesn't stop at the shadow work. It doesn't stop at the downloads, the visions. It's unlimited. And then once you're able to get past a lot of the internal work that you have to do, then you start connecting on a whole different planet, a whole different world. And I can't wait to get there. Like, I'm so excited for the journey. But yeah, so the hardest part though, like after ayahuasca, is not to want to sprint home and like start doing everything and like, I know who I'm going to marry. I know who I'm going to have kids with. And I'm like, I just want to text them right now and like, hey, do you want to go out? Because we're not even dating. You know what I mean? Like, we're like not at all together. But I see it. Like, I saw my whole life ahead of me, and it's kind of like scary, So it's patience, right? It's learning patience. Yeah, it's quite funny, but I just laugh about it. But that's why I love Aya so much, but also why I respect it so much, because, I can sit here and talk about how, I wish everybody did it, but I also recognize that it's not for everyone. You have to be called to it. And you're going to know when you're called to it. You're going to know. Like, everybody says like, oh, I wasn't called. I'll wait till I get called to it. And there'll be little signs. There's going to be that little, like, that urge in you of more curiosity, of understanding it a bit more. And if you're not called to it, that's okay. Like I said, like, everybody has a different way of healing. This has just been my way of healing. But there's so many different paths to healing. I've discussed them in a previous episode, and there's so much more outside of that. So you could do therapy, you could do breath work, Pilates, energy work. Aya just happened to be one of the many ways of medicine that I'm choosing to heal with. But also, I just want to reiterate and make sure that I'm not glamorizing it, because I don't want it to be something that you do for the sake of doing it. It is not a trend. You don't do it because your friends said it was like 10 years of therapy in one night. You do it because you feel called to do it. And if you do it safely. You find a reputable place, you get it screened, you have conversations with them, and you protect your body and your spirit, so you make sure you have your own practices for yourself to keep yourself safe. And yeah, but Hello Goddess was born from all these beautiful lessons that I learned about myself by not feeling good enough, by having trouble asking for help, by stepping into my power, by understanding my insecurities, my triggers, and my flaws, and being ready to share myself with the world, being ready to bring other women into this space so eventually you can hear their stories and you can hear what they've gone through, and we can build a community where we all rise together, goddesses, and we just step into that ultimate power and femininity that we have inside of all of us. So buckle up, babes. That's so much fun to say because we're just getting started with Hello Goddess. It isn't just going to be a podcast. We're going to create a movement, retreats, events, circles, merchandise, spaces where you get to show up exactly as you are and heal together. So if this episode spoke to you, DM me, share with @HelloGoddess, and share your story or send it to a friend who has been curious about ayahuasca. And remember that you don't have to heal perfectly. You just have to do it honestly. Aya is my way, yours might be different, and that's exactly the point. So until next time, see you.